That's it. The blue button is there. We are live.
All
We
right.
are here.
Terrific.
Today what's
Oh
today's
yeah, I
date?
see it. They did change it. Now I'm seeing a live indication on my screen. I've never seen that one before. That's new for Google.
Yeah, they've just taken they've taken a few things off. Like I used to have a count on the admin panel. I don't have a count anymore. But anyway, good evening, everybody who's going to come in the chat room. Today is Tuesday, the 19th of February, 2019, and we're on with Cece.
Hello, Karen. How are you? Good to see you. And everybody in the chat room. Patricia, how are you?
We're good, thank you. So we've already had a chat today, haven't we? We've already put the world to right already earlier on today, but we thought maybe we just carry on talking like that because
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
I was just saying to you, it just boggles my mind, right? The bit about how I never noticed these things were there before, these pyramids and things. I just don't understand how I never saw them before. It's like they've appeared suddenly. I've been to a lot of these places.
Yeah, again, when you bring those pyramids up, I remember hearing about it many years ago that they undug some pyramid somewhere, and it wasn't very far down. Granted, it was only, I don't know, maybe like 100 feet or something like that, or 50 feet. I did hear about that, but it was before I was in flat Earth, so I didn't really even know, what it meant. I was like, oh, okay, well, after thousands of years, things get covered and whatever. It makes sense. That's what we were taught, right? I mean, everything gets covered after a while, but really, does it? I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. After thousands of years, if things get buried, who knows? I know it happens in the desert because the desert changes all the time and things get covered, whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about it?
I don't know. Your whole life changes, doesn't it? If I go out anywhere and I see any windows below the street, like half
yeah.
thinking that's one. And then, especially if they've built it where the building's absolutely straight, but the road isn't. The road's like a hill. And so half the window's gone. And I'm thinking, that's one. I don't know what I make of it all, though. It's just the place I live isn't anything like I thought it was.
No, I know. It's weird because you go to San Francisco, especially in the state of California, you have that all over the place, where you've got these straight buildings. Yes, that could very well be architectural engineering on our part, because everything is a hill in San Francisco. It's up and down. You see it on the movies, and that's true. It's exactly how it looks out there. But I mean, I see it a lot in Manhattan, which is straight, flat ground. Apparently, Manhattan and the Palisades and the Hudson River, for that matter, we were told were created by ice glaciers that were a mile high, that came down and seared off this hill that apparently was down where NYC is now, and just flattened it out. And that's how they were able to build these tall skyscrapers and all this other nonsense. That's what history has told us. That's what we learned. What the true history is, I don't know. I mean, there are rocks that are from Bear Mountain that now sit in Battery Park, in the city. So they had to have been brought down from that mountain somehow or another, so ice would be the only way I could think of that were. And maybe that did happen. I really don't know. But if everything was flat and there was a foundation there to build on, then why the hell am I looking at buildings that have half their windows in the ground? Why would they be digging down 300 feet to have an underground structure? I mean, I could understand it with the Twin Towers when they were up, because they needed that support, to hold that building up, of course. But yeah, I see it a lot in the city. I know out where you are, forget it. These
buildings last a long time because they've got such a good foundation.
Oh, of course, they've got the strongest foundation in the world. And I made a video on that. I even said, my uncle, before I was into flat Earth, he even told me he couldn't, when he was demolishing a building and he wanted to build another, and they were building another one, he couldn't get through the foundation of this existing building. So they said, screw it, and just build right on top of it. So, it's still there. I forget what building it was. I wish I listened to him more.
I was telling you about GoPro Keith, and he said that there was this place in Wales where they hit a pyramid, and they dug down, and they dug down, and they were trying to get rid of it, and they just couldn't. So they didn't tell anybody.
and they just buried right over it.
What they did was they moved the road a bit and put some kind of roundabout or round thing on it. So basically, the top of the pyramid's coming out. Yeah, they just used it as part of the feature.
Yeah, yeah.
And they didn't tell anybody because there was a housing estate being built.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. They're hiding all of our history, and that we had, and they're making up their own. I mean, these are psychopaths we're dealing with. That say that we live on this planet whirling around in space. I mean, you have to understand.
Yeah, you're right about that one.
That's who they are, who are running this world. I mean, that's where they come up with this. I mean, man has come up with this ridiculous story of where we are when we're nowhere where they say we are, and it's been proven that there is no curvature. There's nothing there. Infrared cameras will show it to you. I mean, you're looking at things that you shouldn't be able to see them. And at best, even if you could see them, you should only see at least half of them. You're seeing this building 50 miles away, 70, 120 miles away from the tip all the way down to the shoreline. All right. There's no curvature. There's nothing at all that's indicating we live on a ball.
I know. So what are you going to do then? You are going to...
Oh, I am planning. Well, it's really not planning. It's not like I'm hopping on a plane. I'm just going to drive down there. I'm just going to take a little trip down to the Iron Flat building. I have a buddy out in Staten Island who's probably going to meet me down there. And shout out to Johnny. How you doing? And I'm just going to investigate it. They have this. They've got this little. I guess they got this guy that brings you around and shows you everything, kind of like, I guess, what they do in Antarctica. You can't go here, you can't go there, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't go through that door, that's cordoned off. That's probably what I'm expecting is going to happen. But for the first time, when I see this guy, I'm actually going to question him and say, why can't I go down there? And I know the answer is going to come out of his face is, oh, well, it's very dangerous. You can't go down there. That's the first thing he's going to say. It's very dangerous. You can't go down there. What automatically shuts any Joe body off, thinking that, oh no, maybe there's like spikes and stuff hanging out at her, stairs, really, or stairs that might fall apart and I'll drop. But my question is, why the hell is there a structure underneath the Iron Flat building? There shouldn't be. It should be on flat ground. There should be slate rock, and there shouldn't be anything under it. There's no reason to build anything under that. So it's all speculation at this point. I got to go down there and take a look for myself.
I think it's amazing when we were with sort of picks and axes and horses that we're able to do that with those buildings anyway.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I can't believe the technology they had back in the 1800s. Shit. Or the 1700s. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, with what they're telling us, like I just can't believe. Like we were talking. I was talking about the churches, and the great big organs that they've got in them, and these hundreds of years old. So there we are. We're in rags, got made. What is it? Wooden wheels, horses and carts, and maybe we're living in thatched little cottage things, but not houses, but like hut things, and yeah, but at the same time, we're building all these things with these beautiful churches, all these amazing paintings on the ceilings, all these cherubs and all that. We've got these great big organs so that we can sing hymns.
Yeah, and look at the size and the architecture from these buildings. I mean, they're just absolutely beautiful. I've never seen anything built to this day that compares to anything that you have in your country and that we even have here. And replicated. It's amazing. I mean, the old organs that you were talking about. I mean, look at the detail in this stuff. It's like thousands of man hours it would have taken to put something together.
Huts, and we were poor in rags, and we didn't have baths except maybe once a month, or if we were lucky. Oh, but we're managing to build those so we can sing hymns.
The palace is incredible. How much is that even worth? It's my question. And how were they able to build that back then? The architectural engineering on that building, and I look at the buildings now that they're building. They're putting an addition onto this hospital right here, and it's a cancer ward too. So don't get me started with that. And I just look at the weak structure that they're building this, even the hospital up here. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that none of that architecture that we had 300, 400, even 500 years ago.
We're not reproducing the same kind of architecture today. We think we're
nothing. Nothing. What were there, like an architectural army somewhere that were masons and they just all disappeared, and we don't have any knowledge of how they built all of this stuff, because we're not reproducing any of it at all. I'm seeing weak structures. Even our houses are little bread boxes as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it does amaze me, and it's a very intriguing topic, and it's something I'm going to definitely look more into and just check things out and find out more truths for myself.
Well, no, it never stops, flat Earth, does it? Because it's
never.
Just a big thing. I mean, a lot of people just think we're talking about the piece of land, but we're not, because it just covers everything.
Well, that's the thing with flat Earth. People, the minute they hear that, and I did too, because that's what I thought. That's why I got turned off onto it, because everybody immediately thinks of disk, they think of a cliff, and they think of falling off of it. All right, and that's what they think. Oh, flat earthers only think, but we don't. Flat earthers know we're not on a disk. We're not flying through space on a meteor or on some back of a turtle or some stupidity nonsense that they make up that make us look like complete idiots. But yet, we know it's flat, but we know we're under a dome. We know we're in a contained, terrarium, if you want to call it that. And there could be more land beyond us. We don't know how big we are. We don't know even what our land looks like. We don't know, where the firmament is. We've yet to see any rockets go up there. I mean, I've seen some YouTube videos.
It's really crazy, isn't it, when you think about it like that? That we've been to the moon, we're going to Mars. We've got a Tesla car up there.
Oh, God.
One can tell how, like, what you're talking about, like firmament or any of this kind of stuff. Or there's nothing coming from the land. That's what I mean. We can sort out where we live from here. We can't even go up there. So see how it's so ridiculous.
Well, that's why they're suppressing our technology. Think about it. All the technology that we had 300 years ago, 400 years ago, to build these amazing structures. And even just within the last 50 years, don't you think we would be driving around in something else? I mean, at least something that flies, that we're off of the ground. I mean, at least give me that we at least be off the ground and have to avoid traffic and snowstorms and ice storms. And ice storms wouldn't affect us if we were above the ground, even 2 feet. That's really, you can drive anywhere you want, but it's
we're in a petrol car.
Exactly.
Rockets.
But and then but they get this false security with technology because they think these smartphones we're using, that's all of our technology. No, I'm not going to say that's not good technology, because we wouldn't be able to talk to each other without this. But my point is, all of the technology that we have that's proving technology is advancing is in our hands. I'm talking about the technology around us, with all the vehicles and planes and going to different countries and traveling. We should be traveling, 3 times, 4 or 5 times faster than we're traveling on on a conventional airliner right now.
They don't even at school teach the children about the rotation of the Earth and how important that would be, especially if, it would be really important if I was coming to see you.
Exactly. And don't you think it would be important to even learn about the curvature of the Earth? I never remember learning about that in school. I don't think anybody's learning that. These teachers are teaching them the same old books that we've learned. I mean, really, they're not teaching the curvature. They're not teaching anything about the things that we know, that we've had to research ourselves, that our kids don't even care about, and it's not something I cared about either. Who cares what
it's not actually really the teacher's fault, is it? Because
no, it's not.
I'm not saying they don't like the children, but it's a job. It's actually everybody behind it with the system, because everybody's in the system thinking, oh, this is how the system's supposed to be, when it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And it's not the teacher's fault. It's not. They don't, of all people, they don't know anything in terms of what really is what they really live on and walking on. and they have to get a paycheck. And that's if they go beyond that or they teach something else that forget it, their job is done. They are going to get fired immediately. And that's just the way the system has been set up. And it'll continue on like this until, again, parents come out and confront people about this. Why isn't this stuff being taught in school? Why are they not learning about that at a younger age?
No, nobody's asking anything. I think
they're not doing anything.
I went to do my last voting, but I went to spoil my paper and I was filming it all. I actually filmed it all, but for some reason, I don't know, the filming didn't happen. I lost the film. But basically, I asked this girl and I just said, look, I want to vote, but I don't want to vote for any of them. So why isn't there a box to say I'm voting, but I don't want to vote for them? Yeah, basically, just be a box. Everybody will know what that box is.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
And she went, I don't know. She said, I never thought about that before. I thought, well, that's where we are, isn't it? That is our society.
That's it.
Robert Forge's little words are, they don't know because they don't know. And neither did we.
Nope.
A lot of us had inklings because a lot of us are sensitive and we knew that something was wrong.
Everybody that I speak to calls me or emails me. The first question that comes out of them is why, and also what's the matter with the general population? Why doesn't anybody else see this? It's so obvious, and they're absolutely right. Your regular person on the road now doesn't even want to consider flat Earth or even talk about it. Where you think they don't care. They ask why. They ask, well, what does it matter to me? What does it matter to you? I could think of 50 things right off the top of my head without even, screaming and yelling, and it's already starting to get me annoyed. What about your kids? What about all the money that you make? What about the governments that have taken over here? That everything is a complete mess. I mean, you can think of so many off the top of your head, but none of it seems to wake them up about the reality that they are in, because they just don't care. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And that's fine. Next, that's all. I'm just not going to deal with them anymore. I mean, there's no point.
It's frustrating. It's not like we know everything, because we still don't actually know what shape we are. We don't know how far that bit where we can't go any further is not for sure. None of these things, anyway, would we ever trust anybody doing it now, because everybody's lied to us so much. But I just can't believe it's like we're on a film set upon a film set upon a film set.
It's funny you should say that. I agree with you on that one, because you really don't know who to trust. And the only thing that we can do is just conduct experiments of our own. And that's why I'm saving up for the camera. I want to show everybody what these stars, well, they're not stars, but what these lights are up there, what they actually really look like through a conventional camera. And if what we're seeing on YouTube is true, because I do see people doing this, but I don't know if it's true. I don't know if that's what they really.
Owen, he comes from Australia. He comes on Sun and Moon occasionally, and he's got a P900, and he put 2 pictures of the stars in, and the program made a star circle. But it couldn't have done. There's only 2 pictures in there. Those programs on the cameras, they're not telling the truth about what you're really capturing. It's a program to make a star trail. We've got to be spinning, haven't we? We've got to look like we're spinning.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, because I did have a P900, but I didn't have it for very long, and I wasn't able to use it as much as I wanted to. But I know the program that it came in. What people are actually really seeing when they're looking at these lights is not what you would actually see through the lens of the camera. It's the program that's kind of embedding framing almost on it. And so I don't really know what they're looking at, and that's one of the main reasons why I want to get my own, and really, because now I have a terrace, I've got a beautiful area to just sit there and stargaze, and I could put this thing on a timer for hours on end, and just check it out for myself, and then and then put it on YouTube, and I'll even tell people, hey, look, this is not how I'm seeing it, through the camera. So whatever you're seeing it is through the program that they're giving you with the camera itself, which I'm sure is manipulating something in there. I have no doubt about that. But truly, those are definitely, there's just lights up there. They're there to, I don't know what they're there to do. Time clock I've spoken to people about with. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what that amazing light
Right
show is.
now, I could grab your hand and bring you through the computer and show you how the Big Dipper goes round my house.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Yeah. You know, yesterday I was talking about the moon with you. I was watching it with my daughter, probably at around, I'm on Eastern Standard Time here. So it was, see, I got home at around like, I think it was around 8:30. It was right after we had dinner, a little bit before we put her to sleep, and it was just gigantic. Now we're supposedly having the supermoon tonight. It's the snow snoop. I don't know what the hell it's called. These names that they make up, but whatever. It's going to be very large tonight. Our sun is just setting, or not setting, but going away from us. So moon should be popping up soon. I could take a look at it, and maybe I'll record it tonight.
And it stayed big for quite a long time as it went up. Eventually, it got a bit smaller. Today,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you look at it and you just think it's not the biggest I've ever seen it. It's just bigger. And anyway, and as it went up, it's gone back to, you know, it's gone smaller again. But yesterday, it stayed bigger for longer. I was like, oh my goodness! But it's not the biggest I've ever seen it. I've seen it much bigger than that. I just like, it's just crazy.
I have too. It wasn't huge, but then at 5 in the morning when I got up before light, it was so small. You know, it was on the other side of the building. It was where my bathroom overlooks. You know, and that's the other
how
side.
Can it make that much difference, really? Because how can it make that much difference if it's that very far away? It's not very far away. That's why it's so much difference.
I know. You have to understand that people don't grasp it. I wouldn't have. You know, I wouldn't have. I mean, you know, it takes a while to get through this, and then you know you you open that Pandora's box, and then you get into mud flood. But mud flood is interesting because we can actually really prove that. That's something we can go take a look for ourselves and say, hey, look, there is an existing structure underneath this building. Why is that? You know, and I mentioned to you, how would you hide something like that if we did discover it? And you turn them into palaces. You turn them into areas where royalty is, and the general public can't go there.
You'll probably find that there is a lot of stuff about it. It's just that you've got to find it, because we did this whole thing about the fuel in the aeroplanes, right? And I just could never imagine that this amount of weight of fuel was sitting in those wings. I mean,
no way. You'd be sloshing around like
I've looked. It's a different kind of fuel, isn't it? But I've been, you know, obviously sitting next to wings and looking at them myself. I looked at many photographs of the hydraulics from the front to the back. That most of the wing is just hydraulics with flaps on it. You know, like a bit of fuel might go in there, but we're not talking of what they're talking about.
No.
And then a few times I got the message, you know, you should stop breeding and all this kind of stuff, you know, and some of them were, you idiot, and all that kind of stuff. Although generally they were quite good, the comments, I suppose. And then comes Victor Schuberger, who actually in the 20s, 30s, made the engine we're using today, a free energy engine. He was watching the birds and he saw how they used the air, and he incorporated that in an engine, so that basically it's using the compressed air thing. So all along, it's like, so really it was always there, this information. Anyway, he, you know, if you see any of those pictures with Hitler and there's the round sort of spaceship thing, and they talk about levitation, that's to do with him. And then after the Second World War, he got obviously brought over to America, like supposing a lot of people did, but he didn't want to stay. He didn't want to work with the Americans, and he went back to Austria, where he came from, and 5 days later he was dead.
Interesting. Yeah, well, there you go. They usually end up, that's what usually happens. Anybody with free energy, Tesla, you know. But also, we look at the people that represented, you know, these famous people in history, electricity, Thomas Edison, all these. I mean, if you look it up, they have come from royalty, you know, that have made these people famous, and they're the ones making the history that we're learning, that we have learned, and that's no question. Thomas Edison. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Light bulb. He invented it. How? Did anybody before him come along and come up with it? No, he invented it. That's it. That's done. Next, we got a big story on him. You know, all of it. It's just all of our history is just complete bullshit.
Rubbish.
Yeah, what they're
just to let you know as well, it's a bit like you're right. Maybe I walked past it and it just looked like a bit of ground there. I never associated it with the pyramid. But Marie Beattie, she's not a flat earther, but she's becoming a friend of mine. And she's almost an archaeologist, but she's into dowsing and she's into stone circles, and she's found elongated headed people in the UK around Glastonbury, and it goes on and on and on.
Yeah,
So she came on a few weeks ago because she's written a book as well. I just said to her, so pyramids in the castles. And I was expecting her to say, oh no, Karen, you know, whatever. I don't know what I was expecting. She said, oh yes, most of the castles have pyramids. So it's all like my whole place I live in it keeps changing more and more. It just gets deeper.
I know. I was going to say, absolutely.
Like it stops sometime. Like, could we just level out now?
Yeah, no, I mean, out there, I'd love to get out there sometime. I'm looking forward to it, because you've got some structures out there that are just absolutely, incredible. We don't have anything like that really here at all.
But you have pyramids and things. But you know what else as well? I asked her on this hangout what was the biggest stone circle. Could have been anywhere. France has them. They're in this island Menorca off the Baltics, which is off Spain, but it's a Spanish island. Yeah, a lot of English people go on these islands on holiday. They're there. There are other places. England has the biggest stone circle. And guess what? There was an even bigger one that used to adjoin it, which they've destroyed. And it was huge. It was about 3 or 4 times the size of the one that they destroyed. So it's like, what?
Yeah, it makes no sense, because all of this architecture is around the entire plain. Yeah, all of it. I mean, I have trolls on my building that have been there. I mean, my building was built supposedly in the late 1930s. And the architects, built these trolls. Are all on the bill. But I see those everywhere in the city. I see them in Germany. I mean, everywhere, all over the world. How could that be? How did they know 500, 400, 300 years ago that we were building something like that here? And the architects were, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. There's just too much, especially with the ancient, structures that are out there. How could that be? And they built that 200 years ago and then replicated it in a totally different continent with the same exact trolls or the same exact statues. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's yeah. That's incredible. It really is.
Nice, isn't it? A bunch of trolls everywhere.
Yeah, they are. I got them literally all over the place.
You know what it's almost a bit like? It's almost as if, Batman and Robin, how sort of Art Nouveau, Art Deco and, themed they were. It's almost as if we had these themes, but we didn't know anything about it.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
Something else, but all these other themes we've lived in. See, I'm back to the we're living on a stage again, aren't I?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it seems that might be very well true. But that's I know they're hiding many things from us, and there's probably more stuff we don't, of course, know, and we'll probably find out sooner or later, because I always ask what's next. I mean, really. But the true thing is what they're hiding is the creator, because this is, what's around us is obviously intelligent, to create something like this. Intelligence is the key, and that's where the creator comes in. That's what's going to change everything. I was hearing I don't know, it doesn't pertain to what we're saying, but in Iraq, the wives walk around with the sheets, whatever, on their face, and if one of the women comes up and says, I've had enough, and takes that sheet off, and then she's joined by 200 other people, that's it. It's done. The whole revolution will be changed out there. But the problem is the 200 women that are going to get shot during that period of time are the ones that don't want to come out. So I can understand why it's so difficult for Flat Earth to hit the mainstream. Because it's not going to hit it easily. It's not going to come out in little pieces and stuff like that. It's going to come out and it's going to hit. And a lot of people at the same time are going to wake up. And they're all going to say, we've had it. This is a complete sham, what we live in here. This is this psychotic dream that somebody has made.
Yeah,
and none of it's true.
if we come out, say tomorrow we wake up and it's all over the news, it'll be absolute chaos.
Mhm. Absolute chaos in some way or another. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I don't know, but I mean, there's just so much that will fall apart because of it, and that's why it's so important for them to keep this going as long as they can, because eventually there's going to be an end. I personally, I don't know, you know, I can't give a date of when it's going to happen, but we the one thing that I can tell you is the technology that we have in terms of cameras and in terms of just everyday shit that we have. Um, Someone who's not a flat earther is eventually going to start questioning things when they look at stuff, if they have any knowledge of it. And I think that's the reason why they don't put this knowledge in schools, because I think it'll accidentally wake people up where they're learned about the curvature of the earth, but then when they go down to the beach, they still see the boat. And you can accidentally look at a boat with the telescopic lens. You know, say you just want to zoom in on it, and something's going to come to your head and click and say, wait a minute, I shouldn't be able to see that 40 miles away, because that's about how far away those barges are. And if you know the curvature of the earth and you know what you should be looking at, you'll realize that's flat.
In a sense, we live in the most amazing place. I mean, even us as humans, I mean, we eat food. We don't even, well, I know our stomachs gurgle a little bit, but we don't even really feel our food digesting. I mean, look at our eyes. What this whole thing, what our mind is just amazing. So it's not solid exactly, but look at all the thoughts, all the things like, what? It's such a beautiful place, but right now it's such an ugly place as well. It's just so ugly. It's just, it's almost heartbreaking for me to think how ugly it all is. And it's just obvious, isn't it, that it's just so narcissistic out there. It's not going to be turned overnight, but it is more people are beginning to wake up. But I don't know why we woke up like we did. And a lot of us is this big force in 2016, 15.
It's weird. Yeah. It was around the time that I was about 15. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was like there was this force back then, because a lot of people woke up at around that time. It's 2015, you know, and people say, you know, I have 20 years. I have people emailing me, and that's great. But, you know, I don't know what to make of that. But I could tell you when a majority of, look at YouTube. Well, when did it explode? You know, 2015, pretty much, you know, 14. So it's just look at the charts, look at what YouTube, look at what Flat Earth has done to YouTube, you know, by taking down the numbers of the views. You know, we don't even know how many people actually are looking flat Earth anymore.
I think I know what they've kind of done, because although it was done a bit differently on eBay, they did the same sort of thing. It wasn't for the same reason, but I joined it. I was actually making quite a lot of money on a shop, and then they changed the search engine. They completely changed it, and basically millions of shops. It was as if someone cut the string and went overnight. And what it was is everything completely changed when they changed the search system. So I think that's what they've done to make sure that it's almost like we're down there, over there in a corridor. So if you know about our group, you're going to find us. If they know about you, they're going to find you. But now we don't get any passing traffic, because you put in Flat Earth and things, and all these other things come up. So if you're a beginner, how will you know where to go? What?
And you won't, and then that's what they're doing, and it's working. I guess it's working, but I mean, a true person who's trying to investigate Flat Earth will be able to find us once they get through the horse shit, you know. But they're going to have a tough time. It's not going to be as easy as before. I mean, you know, with me, and I'm small. I used to pop up on most of the notifications. I'm nowhere to be found at this point. You know, very few people. You know,
I think also what they've done is, because you know you can actually sub to quite a few people. So there are so many people out there. You know, it's Globebusters, whoever. There's just many channels, right? And what it is that if they've taken all the bells off, and you know, tomorrow you'll find another group, or there'll be someone, and then you forget, and then because they've taken all the bells off, and people, I think they've done that. I really do.
Yeah, and most of the stuff when you go into you, I'm sorry.
They're telling me I didn't get my notification, but say someone joined the group yesterday and doesn't really know much about us, and then they're steered over there, and they're going to forget about our group. But they thought if they wouldn't, if the notification worked. if you see what I mean.
Oh yeah, and that's easy to take off if you own, I mean, Google can do that very easily. I've had my notifications taken off when they shouldn't be. I've had even find out that I've been unsubbed for some channels that I subbed to, which I
Yeah,
know that's.
I go there and I'm on these people that say you're on our feature page. Suddenly I'm unsubbed to half of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was one video that one guy.
People might not notice that. So if you're subbing to, I'm subbing to that group, I'm subbing to that group, I'm subbing to that group, over a couple of weeks you'll forget half the groups you sub to, and if they're taking off, if they're unsubscribing you at the same time, people are just going to forget about it. I know they're doing it, but I don't think they're just doing it to flat earthers. On a couple of other channels who aren't flat earthers, I've heard the same thing. They say the same. They feel like they've said the wrong thing, and now they're kind of being attacked by YouTube, and they're taking their accounts off, and they've done this, and they,
Yeah, just go ahead and bring up 9/11, and you'll be taken down. But tell them, well, I'm not going to say it here, but tell them what you think. Take a good look at those buildings when they're falling down. You tell me what you see. I mean, it's unbelievable that I thought what I thought, and I was there, not at in the city when it happened, but I wasn't
how
too
can you
far
ever get out of your mind that plane going in and going in? It was repeated so many times that plane going in, and it's fixed in my mind.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that they weren't planes or something. I don't know what they were. I have witnesses that have told me that they have seen them, but all I know is, look, that thing didn't come down right.
They can paint missiles to look like aeroplanes, and then people, if they just saw a glimpse of it,
well, that's what I think
an aeroplane when actually it was a missile.
Yeah, and that's what I think the chemtrailing is done. I don't think those are. I think those are drones. There was a movie with Chevy Chase. I forget. It was a really funny movie too. He was like a weapons dealer. I don't know if anybody in the chat might know, but he was a weapons dealer and he sold weapons to big corporations or something. And there was one part of it that there was actually a drone that was going to take over certain jobs. And they were all pissed off about it. In the movie, it turns out the drone just went all over the place. But it was this huge thing. And this movie was back in 1982. And this drone that they were looking to sell, which were they going to use as a weapon, was like the size of probably a city bus. It was pretty large. So, why can't... Oh, that's the patient. Can you hold on one sec, Karen?
Yes, Bill. Oh, I've been left. Cece's just answering the phone. Anyway, I'm on my own right now. Are you there, Patricia? Patricia? Yeah, she's there.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Patricia. Patricia, as he was talking there, you know what they're saying? They're saying that all the free energy planes, the Airbuses and all that, they're making them because of the free energy. That's what happens when you condense air. It makes a trail. What do you reckon to that?
Don't really know, but somebody brought up a good point about them being related to the royals. Now, when you think about nepotism, who are they going to pick? Pick people, in their bloodline or who they want to get this publicity and this notoriety and all that lot. Then some commoner that's struggling to produce things. It makes sense, doesn't it? That they're going to pick them people. Because they can buy them as well. Buy people.
Patricia, don't mute yourself. It's just me now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm eating a sweet. So.
Hey, Patricia, maybe this is a good, what we were talking about earlier on, because I'm not sure. I think Cece basically he hadn't when he made the arrangement to have the hangout, but just before his boss told him he needed to take this customer at 4 o'clock. Well, he thought he'd get an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Well, I suppose he got 40 minutes. But he had to park his car, so he probably got about. Well, no, he was on before the hour, wasn't he? So he's probably got near his hour. But now he's got to drive her back. So he's asking whether we should restart again. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe we could stay on tour. I don't know how long he's going to be. I'll have to message him in a second, Patricia. But he's back.
Oh, well, sorry about that, Karen. The patient just called, so I got to take her home. Are you going to be on for a little bit, or what are you going to do?
Well, what do you want to do? I mean, me and Patricia can talk for a few minutes. How long are you going to be taking this person back?
I take her back, and then I switch cars, and I get into my car. So I'm usually about a half an hour. Probably take me about, I would say probably about 45 minutes to get back to my car. That's why I don't want to hold you up if you're going to go to sleep, soon. I know we're
about 11:30 to restart. Do you mind? Well, we'll just have to come back because we were in the middle of a conversation. And
no, I know. I want to talk about that. And I'll find out the name of the movie too. Anyway, while I'm en route, I'll look it up on Google and find out what that movie is. But no. That's why I think those drones. I think that's what it is. I think those things are actual drones that are, and I think they're a lot lower than what people think. I don't think they're 40,000 feet up there. I think they're much lower than what you think. But I could be wrong. I know this is just whatever, just speculation.
We've got to stay open and get our minds around it, because it's a bit like it's practically everything now is wrong, or the wrong way round, or they're lying. It's just diabolical, isn't it? It's so diabolical. I can't imagine why they want to do all this to us.
No, I know. It's incredible. It's appalling that our kids are learning what they're learning.
Like, not quite. I know this film's a bit different, but the film The Saw, they actually think, I'm there, I'm just pressing the button, and then something always happens to them. It's like we're in a game like this. We think, I'm getting there, we're going down the corridor, and then something else happens, or there's something else to learn, or it's just incredible.
It is, and that's why people have to understand what flat earthers are. We're not just telling people that the earth is flat. We're trying to tell them everything else that's going on, and that's what people, once they understand that, maybe they'll understand flat earth, or maybe they'll understand flat earth first, and then they'll look into this stuff. I don't know what's going to get everybody to do it. I think about this all the time, but all right, well, why don't you talk to Patricia, and I'll give you a call, right when I'm free. It's probably going to have to be when I'm driving my car, which I don't want to do, but there's nothing I can do.
If it's like half an hour, that's 11:30. I think Patricia will go to sleep. But why don't we just get you to come back? I don't know, next week or something, and just finish off this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Anytime you're ready. I mean, I could probably even. Yeah, I mean, I might even be able to do it this week. You want me to just keep in touch with, email and stuff like that, and let me know when you're gonna.
Yeah, maybe we could. Do you have Saturdays off with your family, or is that a work day for you?
Actually, this week we're going away this week, but not too far away. We're just but we're doing it on Saturday, so I'm probably not going to.
A bit on Friday or something. Think about it. We can on Friday and finish this conversation off with you.
Yeah. Are you doing anything out there? Maybe even on Thursday or something?
Right enough yet, have we, Cece?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd love to. It'd be my pleasure to go on again. Sorry about that quick cut off.
Any NASA today?
I know. Well, yeah. No, he didn't. It's just quite shocking for me. That's the first time.
You love them, really, don't you? Come on.
I love the sun and I love the moon. I love talking about those two little amazing things up there. But all right, so I'll give you an email. Thanks for. Sorry, I got cut.
Yeah, I'll message you tomorrow. And Cece, it's been a pleasure. Really nice chatting to you. Shame it wasn't for a bit longer, but I just think Patricia will want to go to sleep soon.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Patricia, it was nice talking to you too. Sorry we couldn't.
And you too, Cece.
All right, thank you.
Big hugs. Mwah.
Okay,
yeah, love you.
Soon. I love you too.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye.
He can't get off now. He can't get off the hangout. There he goes.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, but we've got to restart again. Another 45 minutes, 11:30 then. Don't mean to be a pooper, everybody.